Hey everybody, it's Triple L coming in with another Pokemon Sword and Shield news update video. So new information has been revealed, you can kind of see it on the screen there. New stuff. And of course, we're just going to walk through it real quick. It's going to be very simple. We're going to be answering the question, what is Gigantamaxing? And also, what are G-Max moves? Those are two concepts that have been introduced to us. For anyone keeping score, there is a popular leak out there in the wild that did talk about Gigantamaxing. I have it kind of just highlighted right here, Dynamaxing, Gigantamaxing. That leak has a little bit more information that we have not seen yet. It'll be interesting to see when it actually comes out because there are some very interesting Pokemon getting Gigantamax forms. Anyway, what they actually are, it's pretty simple. You could go to the Twitter page for Pokemon. I mean, you can see it right there, but I'll just read it out for you because why not? So, Gigantamaxing is a special form of Dynamaxing. It's pretty much only some Pokemon can Gigantamax, and when they do Gigantamax, they will have a different form. These Gigantamax forms also get to use unique moves. Now, we also have information on which Pokemon got Gigantamax forms and what their moves are actually. So, as you can see here, we have Corviknight and Dreadnought. They're both Pokemon that got Gigantamax forms. There's also the other one, the Giant Cake. So we have a shot from Cerebi, so you can get a better shot of them right here. So Corviknight's pretty simple. It's just a giant Corviknight, except this time it has birds flying around it. And Dreadnought just honestly looks like a giant Godzilla. It pretty much, when I see these things and I think back to Godzilla, like Japanese style Godzilla, this is what I'm seeing. I think someone's a really hardcore Godzilla fan over at the Game Freak studio. And of course, you have the Giant Cake. Now, we have little blurbs about the Pokemon as well, but I would recommend just going to Cerebi and just reading it there, just for the lore bits. Now, what's interesting for anyone that cares, the max moves. And these ones have caused a little bit of discussion among the community. For the Giant Cake, I should remember its name. I think it's called Alchemy. It's G-Max Finale, and this one does damage and heals every Pokemon on the user's side. So people are wondering if this actually heals Pokemon in your party that are not on the field, or if this is something that's good for double battles, triple battles, or the raid battles. I would like to think that it's probably just the Pokemon on the field and not in your party. Although, if it is, I wouldn't be surprised, Game Freak, but that's a little bit too overpowered, I doubt it. Next up, we have Dreadnaught's special power, or G-Max power, Stone Surge. It's a water type move. It does damage and it applies sharp rocks on the ground. This one got everyone worried because they're thinking this is Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is one of the best entry hazards in Pokemon in general. But I will point you to the wording here. It says apply sharp rocks on the ground. That tells me this is more akin to Spike. You know, the move that does it's an entry hazard as well, but it just does damage, and it's a normal type move, I believe. It would make sense if this is like, say, a rock type entry hazard that doesn't affect flying types. That's what I think is going on here. It's very interesting as well that it's a water type attack and it ends up giving something that looks like rocks. So we'll have to see how it actually works out in the damage calculation. We don't have any information on that. And finally, we have Wind Rage, which is for Corviknight, and it removes all terrains, entry hazards, barriers, and so forth. Pretty much anything that Pokemon throw up that you can remove. I would assume when it says barrier, maybe it also removes Protect, but honestly, you don't really need to remove Protect if you're already wasting a turn doing that. Unless, well, actually, you know, you look at this and you think about what the Pokemon that are Dynamaxing do in those max raid battles, and it's like, yeah, I could see Corviknight being useful in that situation. Anyway, I gave you the talk there, but what are people saying about this? Well, what's really interesting is because we had Mega Evolutions and Z moves officially removed, they're not coming back in Gen 8, people were very quick to launch the comparisons. And what you ultimately have when you have Gigantamaxing, it really does seem like a combination of Z moves and Mega Evolution. Mega Evolution in the sense that, well, they change form. And Z moves in the sense that, well, they get a unique move that can only be activated during a very specific circumstance. So, in some ways, it's pretty much the best of both worlds. You have Z moves and Mega Evolutions, or at least the spirit of them, making it their way through this new Gigantamaxing form. Now, this has caused people to kind of want something else. Some fans are hoping that, well, if Gigantamax Pokemon are getting new forms, then maybe the previous Mega Evolution, those forms, maybe they can be added in as Gigantamax form. Now, I think that's a little bit too hopeful. I think that's a little bit too naive given what we've seen so far from Game Freak. I honestly doubt it. I doubt that the Mega Evolutions are going to be rolled back into Gigantamaxing, because that makes too much sense, and that's just kind of against what Game Freak has established so far. What's really interesting though is that Game Freak isn't adverse to doing new forms, and that they're still very much into the game of doing gimmicks like Gigantamaxing. So I'm sure that as we get more and more of these forms, I'm sure people are going to have more and more things to say about whatever Game Freak is doing. And it's especially important to consider that most likely the champion who has the Charizard is most likely going to get a Gigantamax form. Because why not? Charizard got 2 Mega Evolutions. I'm personally, as a fan of Pokemon, I'm not going to be surprised if I find that Charizard has an entirely new form, because that just makes sense with how Game Freak has done their marketing and what they choose to focus on. Just makes sense to me. I'd be very surprised if Gigantamax Charizard is Charizard Y. I don't see that happening. It'd be very surprised if it does happen, but I doubt it. Anyway, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. So this was a pretty simple video, just explaining what's going on with Gigantamaxing, what's going on with G-Max moves, and just it's pretty much, it looks like Mega Evolution and Z moves put together, and people are now hoping that maybe Mega Evolutions, those forms, can be used in some way in the game. I don't know, man. Every time I just think Game Freak is in a situation where they can't win, and it doesn't help it when they're using excuses that people can disprove to themselves very easily. I kind of do just wish Game Freak would be straightforward with us and just tell us, like, yeah, no, we just don't want to allocate resources to some things. I did another video that we've already seen like the first glimpse of the camping system, and the camping system I think is using more sophisticated animations, for lack of a better word. So again, I think this is largely an issue of resource allocation. They're choosing to put resources in the interaction aspect. I personally think that's not something people enjoy, so I think it's a wasted resource. But again, this is where I leave it off to you guys. What do you think? Let me know down below. Hope you enjoyed this video, and keep your eyes out, because there's a bit more information that came out with these new videos. Anyway, till next time, I hope you have an absolute great day.